Hey folks, we're going to cover UFOs, aliens, and the things going on right now with disclosure in the government, and we're going to discuss this whole thing. First of all, right now we're still at close encounters of the first kind because it's still I've seen something or somebody's testified to seeing something, and there's a lot of claims out there. Now we've seen some video clips, some of which I've looked at and thought, well, this could be a bat picked up on thermal camera. If you ever seen bats fly around in the evening, they'll fly and then they'll jerk and change directions and then they'll jerk down. They'll do these weird, flights chasing bugs. And I thought that could be a bat. Now some of it, I don't know. There are some really strange ones on there, but that one. And then I seen that star-shaped thing, but I noticed it had some smoke coming out of it, and I was thinking that might possibly be a parachute or one of those military flares that they shoot up and it burns in the night, and then the smoke would be. Now, some of the ways it was moving made me think, well, no, I don't think it is, but we'll look at some of the pictures and y'all just tell me what y'all think. But I did notice some of the shadowing in that footage of the star-shaped UFO. You see like a shadow that almost looks like I don't know, it's really strange stuff, and I'm glad that, I will say I'm glad Trump has flip the table over on this, because it's stupid that they've been hiding this for years if there really is something to hide. But I'm not here to sell you that aliens are real or that there really is UFOs. That's not my objective. I'm covering this topic. Now, a lot of people write it off right away. They say, well, it's demons. It's not aliens. It's demons. Now, how do they know that? Yes, biblically we know there's angels and demons, but how do they know that just because some other thing crashes that it's necessarily a demon? We didn't know microbiology. We didn't even know that was everywhere around us till we invented the microscope, and it wasn't a demon. It's a microbiological life form. So I'm just saying, not everything we don't understand is a demon. No more like, and I encountered that kind of thinking, and I know the people mean well, but I kind of encountered some of that thinking when I used to do magic tricks, knowing the method behind it, and I did encounter a few people that thought it was, oh, it's a demon making that thing vanish, and I'm like, you didn't understand how it looked like it vanished. That doesn't mean a supernatural force vanished it. So people rush to conclusions without all the details. Now, here's our scale, if you want to say, is an alien good or not, if it did exist. Well, it's simple. If it brings a message or tries to tell us something that is against the truth, then yeah, it's evil. No, no different from a human. You got humans out there that'll tell you if you'll send in your $1 million in the next 5 minutes that God will give you this blessing of all these riches. God never told you that. That's that guy trying to get your money. So humans do that. For that matter, David Koresh claiming himself to be something. That was a human that was bringing a bad message. So to me, it wouldn't make no difference. But we're going to cover it right quick. And like I said, I'm not here to sell you on nothing. I will tell you there is a UFO website now that's government, that they're releasing UAP, everything. They're going to apparently release everything they know so far on UAPs and UFOs. We'll see. It's going to be interesting and fun nonetheless. And, other people have said, oh, this is just a distraction and all this stuff. Well, that could be, but I don't think so, because there's really nothing other going on right now other than the Iran war, Russia, Ukraine, and the gas. Why would they want to distract, So, and I won't point this out too, and I'm not trying to be biased, but Trump did say when he was asked, even before he got elected, by somebody I was watching, said, would you be willing to release? And he's like, sure, I wouldn't have no problem opening that up. So that was before he was ever elected, promise to unseal all this stuff, and it should be unsealed. I think if there really is anything, would it change what you think? For me, no, it wouldn't change a thing. Look, there's many things we've discovered, other planets, other things out in this universe that the Bible doesn't mention specifically, right? It doesn't mention specifically there's Kepler B or there's Mars or it says heavenly bodies. And it gives general basic terms. Let's face it, if God tried to fit every single thing he knows how to do into a book, you ain't even going to be able to have a book there's no such thing as a book that could hold that. That's what I'm going to say. He knows far more than any of us could ever imagine. So anyway, let's get on to the topic. I want to show a few pictures. All right, so I showed you some clips there. Some of those were from the fresh release. And what I did is I clipped the objects on the video and I adjusted the color tinting on some to see if I could bring out more clarity on what that is. Now, that star shaped thing is funny because it could be as simple as a flare going off, a military flare, look that up, a parachuter or something, or it could be something else as extremely as an ophoneme from the Bible. It kind of reminds me of one of those descriptions, one of them, but I'm not going to say that, yeah, it's that fantastic of a capture on video. So I'm just saying that shows you how you can see something and then you can kind of play with it and see what it is. But some of them are kind of odd, and I do think that they probably have spy drones and stuff like that, obviously, but some of this stuff is definitely interesting and very weird. Now, we got to also consider, could this be a big, gigantic media propaganda campaign? And then you got to ask, well, if that's so, then why are they trying to sell me that all this is real, that there's aliens, that there's UFOs? Why would they be trying to get me convinced? See, you got to think like this and try to find a reason for that. Now, it could be a cover to be able to spy without anybody knowing. I mean, you could generate tons of ideas of what it could be, but there's nothing concrete for sure. Could it be that I've heard a lot of people say different things on what they think it is. And I disagree. I see where they're coming from with those ideas, but I disagree with that because just on how I see things. I've heard some people think that they are getting ready to use this as an excuse so that when this secret rapture thing happens, they'll be able to blame it on UFO abduction. I've heard that. I get where they're coming from, but in my view, I don't believe in the secret rapture. I believe in a one-time return, not a secret thing that's going to happen. I personally believe when Jesus returns to earth that everybody's going to know it, that you're not going to have to even have a cover story. So that's my view. But I see where they're coming with that. It's brilliant that they're thinking that. And that's good thinking to question things. That's good. But, I've heard a lot of things. But sometimes it's the most simple explanation that answers it all. The simplest thing. Now, you got to also consider, what if our own government has built these things? A deception campaign. To be able to use them, think about this. If you could convince the world that there's extraterrestrial life, if you really sell that, and now you got the whole world knowing it, apparently knowing it, well, then you can just fly your little UFO thing right over another country and spy on what they got and take no responsibility. So that's another idea it could be. So you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of other things that you could think on and possibilities, but don't run, get your aluminum foil hat yet, because the most awesome thing I think that would turn out to be is there actually was something. That would be cool. I mean, it had nothing to do with some kind of propaganda or some kind of deception. Like, there just actually was something else. To me, that would be amazing. And honestly, I might be a little mad at the government for covering it up. Like, you mean to tell me y'all have had this Fluxotron T16 hyper technology that can make my car run on a tritium-14 and you've kept it hidden where you could milk gas money? I would be mad. I would be kind of mad. How about y'all? But anyway, I just thought I would somewhat cover this. I could, go into some more things. I will tell you there's a website online. You can look up, just type in UFO governor or UFO government and you'll find it. It's the War Department, to where they're going to be releasing all these classified things they've had for so long. A lot of people are, the fact that it's taken a while to come out is interesting. But to me, of this whole thing, I have to say the most weird thing so far is just the scientists that came up missing. That is definitely a disturbing part of the whole thing. Beyond the sightings and all that the disappearance of real people, that's troubling. Something's trying to be covered up. So we'll see. Anyway, y'all have a good one. That's all I got on